Great to be here. Adrian Mucalov. I'm a partner at Actis, private equity firm focused on what we call hard assets. So essentially infrastructure, especially power infrastructure, digital infrastructure, some real estate infrastructure, focused in emerging markets. So our key markets are Latin America, Asia, and Africa, although we consider ourselves a global firm, just focused on those growth markets. So the question is, how has emerging markets infrastructure fared during the pandemic? If you think of electricity or demand for digital infrastructure, these have been absolutely essential throughout the pandemic period in all countries. When I think, for example, of a wind farm that I manage in Brazil, the farm has been operating at 100% availability with no major operational challenges all the way through the pandemic. Every day, we've dispatched 100% of the energy that we generated to the grid, and we're paid 100% on time every month. This example of a long-term contracted essential service, and that's the nature of our investment opportunity in emerging markets. So I would like to highlight three investment opportunities. The first is renewable energy. We are in the midst of an absolute green revolution. This is a once-in-a-lifetime investment theme in our view. Renewable energy is in most markets now the most cost-competitive and efficient form of electricity. There's a tremendous demand across nearly all of our markets for renewable energy. If you take India, for example, they've already installed over the last few years about 100,000 megawatts of renewable energy. We, through various companies, have contributed to quite a lot of that growth. The ambition is by 2030 to have installed 450,000 megawatts of renewable energy capacity. These are enormous numbers that require trillions of dollars of capital. So this is an investment opportunity for the next generation. We say sometimes that the world needs another planet worth of power plants to be built over the next 20, 30 years. And nearly all of those plants are going to be built in what we call growth markets. The second theme is digital infrastructure, where we're investing more of our time and capital. As we've seen, especially during the pandemic, tremendous demand for data, tremendous demand for digital services, for mobile towers, et cetera. Also a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. And as the world of work, we believe, is changing permanently, the demand for those services will only continue to grow. Third, we are also focused on long-term yielding assets, which is a pretty new theme in emerging markets. These continue to be markets that are growing very quickly on average. And there continues to be, as I've described, a need to build more infrastructure. But now that privately funded infrastructure has been built across our markets for 10, 20, 30 years, there's also a need to responsibly own and operate and manage those assets for a long period of time, which I would consider more in line with almost a traditional theme of infrastructure investing. When investors set up programs to invest in infrastructure, often that's actually what they have in mind. Acquire low risk, long-term assets that I can hold for a long period of time. And that opportunity has now presented itself in emerging markets on the back of all the growth that we've seen in the last 20 years. So again, I'd probably highlight three factors. Number one is local presence and experience. Because while we believe that regulatory risk is sometimes perceived to be higher than it really is, you still need to understand it. You need to understand it in great detail, where the risks lie, how you can manage those, how you can mitigate those, having the relationships with local banks, local partners, with your off-taker, with your suppliers. A lot of that business is still local. So having that experience on the ground is hard to replicate. Second is combining that local on-the-ground presence with true global sectoral expertise. We think the infrastructure investment market has really developed over the years, and it become much more specialized. And if you can't bring true expertise and operational excellence behind your investments. And if you're only looking at it from a financial lens, I think you're not maximizing the investment opportunity. Third is the theme of sustainability. Broadly, of course, there's the environmental lens, and we're very focused on renewable energy. But if you think of investing for the long term and long-term contracted assets, it's very important to think about the sustainability of those assets. How expensive are they? Are they green? Will they be resilient to policy changes in the years to come? So we're highly focused on that sustainability theme as well as a key success factor.